Live from Studio 1A, Good Morning Longhorns had the chance to have an exclusive sit-down interview with Jenna Bush Hager, co-host of Today with Hoda and Jenna. Jenna graduated from the University of Texas in 2004 with a Bachelor's of English. She's making her way back down to Texas with her twin sister Barbara as they embark on yet another book tour together to celebrate their children's book Love Comes First. Itza Martinez, senior life and arts reporter, had the honor to work with Jenna this summer as a Today Show broadcast intern. We are so excited to learn from Jenna about her path from the 40 acres to the Big Apple. Take a look. So your book, Sisters First, was like a New York Times bestseller. What kind of like inspired you to write like Love Comes First?
Well, this is the fourth book I have written with my sister. I have a twin. And growing up, I think we realized how empowered we were to have each other, because each of us made the other one feel brave, made us feel like we could do anything. We wrote Sisters First as an ode to each other. And since we wrote that book, I've had a baby boy, my sister had a baby. And I think what we've realized is that love in its purest form is infinite, that there's always more room for our neighbors, for our family, for our friends. And so that was the inspiration for this latest one. And we're so excited because we're coming to Texas, back home. I think it's important to hear what readers have to say. And all of the previous book tours actually really help us inform what we're going to write next, which we feel so grateful for.
I did have one more question. What's like your all-time like favorite book, if you could think of one?
Oh my gosh, my all-time favorite book is probably The Bluest Eye by Toni Morrison. And it's just such a powerful, beautiful narrative. And it was the first book that really, I think, opened my eyes to show how literature can create empathy.
Especially in my generation, everybody that I'm going to school with now, I know that we're all like focused on the future. Oh, what internship am I going to be having next summer? What's my next job? What's my next move? And, we're often not thinking about the present. And so, we forget that college sometimes only happens once in our lives. Can you tell us a little bit about some of your core memories here at Austin that still replay, years later?
Yeah, I think that's such a good point. It's such a short time, but it's such an impactful time. And if you talk to anybody that, has been to college, they're like, savor it, because there's a freedom that comes to, that point in your life where you don't need to decide exactly what it is you want to be. You just should study and figure out who you are. Those 4 years were so impactful for me. I made my best friends, who I still talk to almost every single day. Last year, I was in Texas and I walked past the house I rented with some of my best friends my senior year. And I just couldn't believe that it was a place that had such an impact on me, but I hadn't been back there in, 20 years. And the one piece of advice that my mom gave me, which I definitely did my junior and senior year, and it sounds harder than it is, but find out who the best professors are. Find out what the class is that everybody says, oh my gosh, that's the hardest class. That teacher wrote the book. That teacher is one of the best in the country on that subject matter. I don't care what it is, and try to get into that class. Texas has such incredible professors and with such a wealth of information.
Speaking of morning shows, you obviously know plenty about that, and so much of what the whole Today Show franchise, but especially the fourth hour when you come on with Hoda, people turn on your show for some of the brighter topics, things to inspire them, and just great stories. Obviously, there's so much negativity everywhere, all across the media and on TV, but your show brings something different to the table. Why do you feel like it's so important to do what you all do every single morning?
Oh my gosh, Logan, you're the sweetest. I think, it's so funny because when I first started hosting with Hoda, which is now 4.5 years ago, when I would travel with my sister who started a non-for-profit that does incredible work around the world, I would, in the sort of mission to be self-deprecating, I would say to people like, oh, Barbara does the important work and I just get to like sit next to Hoda and laugh. But then what I've realized is, especially after the pandemic, there are people that tune in to us in their loneliest moments and times when they're going through really hard things, and they look to us to bring that joy. And so I've stopped saying that, because people will come up and say, like, you got me through chemo. My mom was sick and I was taking care of her, and you were my one sort of respite. And so, yeah, I mean, I just think, and we can choose to do this, all of us in our daily lives. We can choose to spread negativity and hate, or we can choose to spread joy and love. And I'm so proud that I'm part of a show that does that every single day. We do not take it lightly. It's an incredible privilege to be part of that. And so I no longer kind of make those jokes about myself, because it is such an honor to be part of everybody's morning in a joyful way.
Was it hard to create your own identity kind of in the shadows of obviously your father and your grandfather? And do you feel like that's had an impact on your career as a journalist?
It wasn't hard to create my own identity, because my parents didn't expect me to be anything but myself. I mean, the world might have, but my parents didn't. And I think we really are affected by those who love us the most closely, the people that interact with us every day. And so by having parents that allowed Barbara and I to be exactly who we are, didn't compare us to each other or to other kids of public figures, they also didn't expect us to believe the same things as them, to go into the same line of work as them. I mean, so therefore I was free to be myself. The other thing that was really impactful was they allowed me to make mistakes. And I feel like that's super important. You know, you've got to be able to fall down and get back up, because for the rest of your life, that's going to happen. Nobody is perfect. So to be expected to be that way, especially when you're 18 or 19 years old, I think could have been really damaging. So I'm so grateful. One of the things that was amazing is that when my parents were, president and my mom was first lady, we got to travel around the world. We got to go to Africa and witness the unveiling of PEPFAR. We got to go travel this country. We got to meet thought leaders like Bono and Wendy Kopp, people that were really changing the world. And so I think it's really hard to have kind of a small thought of how incredible the world is when you get to do that at such an impressionable age. Hi guys, I'm Jenna Bush Hager and I'm watching Good Morning Longhorns. Hook 'em.
Amazing.